This is an honour board which was put up after the Great War. Seems to be quite a common thing done amongst sporting clubs at that time.
Yes, that's right.
There's a lot of names on there. Could we just run through those names and talk about any of the people on there that you remember? Just give us a brief bit of information about them as we go through.
The first one on the list, Les Allen. I didn't know. I met him once, but he was Cliffy Allen's brother, elder brother. Cliffy Allen, he was that coached us in the first crew. He used to take us out. I don't know what he was in the club. I don't think he was a vice captain. He might have been. I'm not sure of that. And then we come to Archibald. I think he was a doctor, Dr. Archibald, or might could have been his son. Atkins. He is an M.M. Atkins. He was a bit of a hard case from all accounts. I didn't know him, but I knew of him. I used to deliver the papers there. They lived in Ballast Point Road, the Atkins family. Edgar Bell was the captain. Bard I never knew. What's the cross? He was killed in action. Edgar Bell, he was the captain. Jack Booth, I didn't know him. He died in action. Sammy Booth, I knew him quite well. He was a tradesman. He was a carpenter. Burnett I never knew. I met Callaghan with Jack McQueen, and I also met Camero one time. Might have been Clark. Yes, he was fairly active in the club when I joined up. Alma Cox, he was a very good sculler. In fact, he came from Tasmania. He was a champion. Alma Cox, he was one of the strongest men. Was in there. In fact, we had a champion pool going one time. I was a stroke. There was a cove called Aussie Smiths, a big policeman. Roy Magnuson and Wally Keane, I think, was in the bow seat. 2 mile race, and we're going pretty good. And they rang me up the Thursday night before the race and asked me would I go on the Jervis Bay. That's how things can change your life. I would have gone to Jervis Bay and the old boss at Cockatoo. And I told him I was sorry. I said I'd let 3 other men down. When I went down the club that night, the big cop had strained his back somehow or the other. And anyway, Alma Cox was there. He said, I'll hop in with you and see how we go. And he said, we went up and we did a 2 mile course down from about Haberfield along that to White Horse Point. And you could feel him in the boat all the while. He had very powerful legs. And anyway, we thought, we'll give it a go anyway. And he wasn't bad for a man to hop in and do 2 miles, you know. He wasn't in training. He must have kept himself in fairly good condition, though.
How old would he have been then?
I wouldn't like to say. He'd be around the 40 mark. He would have been, he might have been 45. Anyway, in the next night we went down expecting him. He looked terrible. He said, no, I can't row. He said, the wife promised she'd leave me if I rowed. She said, I didn't want to see me. She didn't want to be a widow. Would have been. Ferry I don't remember. Old Gillen Murphy. He was a hard doer, this old chap. He used to have a Gladstone skiff he kept at North Sydney Rowing Club when they started up on the Lane Cove River. Good Sir Ebury. I think he'd be the son of a chap who was town clerk. Goswell, Jack Goswell. He'd been a member of Enterprise Club at one time. Goswell. His wife was one of the Greens, of the Green brothers, the boat builders at Haberfield. His 2 sons belonged to Sydney. S. Hall, I think he was a dentist. Harry Ornstein, he rowed in the King's Cup, in the original King's Cup crew in London when they won. Frank Hidden, I rowed in a number of crews with Frank. He was my 3-man in a crew in 1922. I was stroke with a couple of maiden 4s and run second. We couldn't have run anywhere else because there were only 2 starters. Well, Jarvis, I didn't remember him because he was killed in war. Kennington, I don't. Lethbridge, I seem to remember the name Lethbridge, but I just can't pin anything down. McNeil, I don't remember. L. McTominay was in Enterprise. Well, Roy Magnus and I rode in cruise with him. G. Noble, he'd been a coxswain on a lot of crews at one time. S.E. Porter, he was my idea of a perfect oarsman. That was old Sid's eldest son. His brother Reg got me to join the club. Yes, he was a fine specimen, Sid Porter. Of course, J.S. Sharp, we all know him. That's Sid. Singleton, I don't remember. Keith Steele, yes, I remember. I think I met his brother Ernie one time at a regatta. And Snowy Stopford, A.J. Stopford, his father was a doctor. Townsvale, there was a Gladstone skiff named after him in the club. Winters, he was a tailor. I don't think he did any rowing when I was joined up. And the O.J. Wood, he became coach of the famous Mossman 8.
What was famous about the Mossman 8?
Oh, they won a lot of... Well, they represented the state in a lot of interstate 8s. They were around about from the 22 to about 28, 29. One time they wouldn't go unless they went as a crew.
You remember quite a lot of those people from that honour roll?
Yeah. Well, some of them see there are a lot of Balmain family names.
Yes, there are, aren't there? Yeah. You see...
people that was in business and doctors.
That's right, and a lot of them are still well known around Balmain now, those names. When was that board put up, Bill? Can you remember?
Well, it was here when I joined up.
So it must have been fairly soon after the war that it was put up.